Alright, everybody. I want to welcome you all to what has been known as the automotive equivalent to the Bay of Pigs. You all are the greatest collection of highway stop laws, degenerates, and other strange weirdos that we could happen to find. And we're gonna have some fun on the roads. Now, you should all be aware that maybe, I'm guessing, roughly 10,000 of the nation's highway patrolmen are waiting for us when we get started. But think positive for a minute. Think about the fact there's not one state in the 50s that has the death penalty for speeding. Though I'm not quite sure about Ohio. Each one of you robots is implanted with a special time chip. When you leave, it'll tag on the time clock behind me. 3,000 miles roughly from here is another time clock at the Portofino Inn, where we will conclude the race. The difference between the times is your time on the road. I've forgotten what the record is, but I do know that the drivers on it did break 100 miles an hour. So that should excite you. Should excite all of you there at home too. How many of you want to do that? Alright, who's first? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're kicking off this month by taking a look at many of the figures of the Wal-Mart exclusive Velocitron Speedia 500 collection. I say we're going to take a look at most of them due to the fact that at the time I recorded this, I was one short of having a complete set. And then according to the Transformer Wikia, when I was looking at it today to review these guys, it turns out they've added 2 more to the series. So, hopefully we'll get all of them in this month. If not, we will plan them for a future date somewhere down the line. But like Larry said, we're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun. And we're starting out with our first figure that we purchased, the Diaclone Universe Burnout. Now, of course, many of you are probably going to look at this figure and go, I've seen this one before. And that's right, you have. The mold for the Diaclone Universe Burnout figure is based on Legacy Skids. So, not only did Hasbro get real cheap on this by using a mold from the current year, they basically went very plain on it. But it is based on the original 1970 release of the toy that would become Skids. Because Burnout here is in the proper color of being in a black color. The only thing that she is missing is a little red scooter that would be kept in the trunk of the car. As Skids originally was also supposed to have that during his original release, but upon becoming a Transformer, the little scooter was left out. And as you heard correctly, Burnout is a female character. She was introduced in the IDW comics line back in 2019. Although the Timeline series before that also introduced her as a piloted mecha, which was how the Diaclone toys for their battle cars were originally intended to be. As you can see, many of the original Transformers that came from that line did have visible seats that were accessible for micro-scaled pilots. So all in all, a rather interesting little bit of trivia for you. At any rate, let's take a look at Burnout's accessories. And as you can probably guess from seeing Skids, they went cheap on them too. We'll start with her Energon Axe Blade, which is also done in the transparent blue. Let's get Skids over here. Well, it's a little hard to tell in the light, but as you can clearly see, it is molded in a different color. As Skids is over here on my left is in a lighter shade of blue, whereas Burnout's is in a somewhat darker shade. You'll have to be careful with this if you buy either of them loose. So if you don't have either of these figures new, I'd say go get them right now while you can probably find them on the shelf. But if you end up buying them loose, you may have to come back and consult this video again to notice the differences. Alright, and then next up is the weapon, the other weapon. It's in two pieces, and it can be combined. The first piece here is this dual blaster, which is an homage to one of the original guns that Skids came with. I'm going to check something here as we steal the weapon off of Skids, because I'm sure many of you are going to go, let's compare them all together, so let's do so. That way you can all see everything. As soon as I can work it loose. Pop, there we go. Alright, here's Skids' double blaster, and here's Burnout's. And as you can see, they are pretty similar. Although Burnout's again is slightly darker. The biggest difference is their connection posts. Skids over here on the left is pretty close to black in color, whereas Burnout's is in a dark gray. So do bear that in mind. And then of course we have this single blaster, which is sort of intended to be the missile launcher that Skids came with in his G1 version. And again, here's the Legacy Skids one. Again, it looks like they went with the same color scheme, being that Burnout's is slightly darker and has a dark gray post, whereas Skids has a black post. Alright, let's take a look at Burnout's articulation, and since she is the exact same mold as Skids, only with a different head, she will have the same articulation. Her head can turn from side to side, and she can rock up and down a bit. Her arms can raise up all the way up to here. And they do rotate at the shoulder all the way, but you will have to move the car door to allow it full clearance. You can bend her arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and she does have a swivel at the bicep, so she has G.I. Joe style battle grip. Down here she can turn at the hip, twist at the hips a bit, so she does have some dance moves going. We can spread her legs apart into a full splits. She does have a good thigh cut, so you can reposition her legs as you need to. You can raise her leg at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend at the knee 90 degrees. So all in all, she has great posability. Okay, to transform Burnout, again, since she is just a straight copy of another toy, it's very, very simple. First thing we're going to do is we got to position her arms so they go straight out. Then do a small rotation here at the bicep so that her hands are pointing upwards. And we're going to come here and move the chest area up so it covers her head. Over here onto her backside, and we'll adjust the windshield so it connects to the hood of the car. And then now we're going to bend her at the hip a bit. But we're also trying to get her to bend at her abdomen so that it goes inside. Like so. So that way it gets her hip back up onto her backside. Then we're going to come up here. We got to turn her arms at the shoulder itself. So when you fold the arms in, the tires are seen. We'll come down here, fold down the leg covers. And then we'll put the legs together and bend her downwards. As we get near the end of it, we will fold her arms so they will go inside. Keep them above these panels on the feet. And once we can get her all the way down, make sure she's actually connected in the right spot. Little light, gentle force is needed. Just connect her. Connect the top of the truck to the tops of her legs. We come down here underneath her feet. You can fold out the rear wheels and line things up correctly to close the doors. And then there you have it. She is in her alternate mode of a small minivan. Or in the G1 terms, she would have been a Honda City Turbo, like Skids originally was. And then, of course, you can add the weapons. Of course, she's participating in a car race, so it's alright to have weapons on there, isn't it? I know most of you are, many of you that watch the races, you watch it for the wrecks and destruction, so you can't tell me that you wouldn't mind seeing a Formula One or a NASCAR vehicle armed with a mini rocket launcher and a .50 caliber cannon. And there we go, that's how she looks in her attack mode. And then there, right beside her, is Skids in similar mode. So again, the comparisons really show between the two. Now, what do I think of Burnout? It's nice that we get to see an old and somewhat forgotten character brought back into the fold again. But my biggest problem with her, and it's going to be the same problem with many of them in the Velocitron collection. It's that they're using the same molds from recently released toys. Well, not too recent. I mean, there's at least another one in there that's a little ways back a bit, but it's still one that's been done and done a few times since its release. It shows more a lack of originality on Hasbro's part, because it again relies on their cheapness due to the fact that they're already concurrently releasing this figure. As I said, she's a copy of Skids from the Legacy line, which is running right now. So that part's a bit of the major disappointment about it. But other than that, if that's something you can overlook, it isn't a bad figure per se. It just would be nice if there had been a little more originality with it. But when you know the history of the Transformer toys, it's filled with a lot of repeats and reissues and recolors. At any rate, that's my look at the Diaclone Universe Burnout figure from the Velocitron 500 collection. I hope you all enjoyed it. And please do remember that if you like the content that we feature here on this channel, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.